Good afternoon and welcome to everybody attending this webinar. We have online Michael Watson, a long-term friend and trainer of Salad Seminars, and also my colleague Paul Rees, who's joined me at Salad. And as you probably know, I am Tim Considine, the new owner and CEO of Salad Seminars, taking over from Jamie Smart. We are very privileged to have Michael Watson coming across to the UK again for us. He's joining us in November, 19th of November, to present Core Transformation. This is a program that I had the pleasure of attending with Michael in Florida a couple of years ago, and I really enjoyed it, found it exciting, and derived some real practical benefits. So I'm pleased to be sharing this experience with you and welcoming Michael to the UK, because people in the UK don't often get the chance to experience Core Transformation. So, Paul, you haven't broadcast on behalf of Salad majorly. Would you like to take over this interview for me?
I'd love to. And firstly, I'd like to say it's great to be speaking to you, Michael, and great to have you coming over here to see you.
I'm looking forward to it, Paul.
Michael, a very quick question. For those people that haven't been lucky enough to have known about you or spoken to you or even seen you, is give us a little bit of background on your NLP history and the hypnosis side of your amazing work you do.
Well, thanks. Gosh, I've been involved with neurolinguistic programming for forever, since really early days in NLP. And actually, I had started in the 70s. I was working in the Diocesan Counseling Center in Chicago, Illinois, and I was doing some pastoral counseling at that particular time. And in the 70s, what was really the sort of current thing in counseling psychology was guided imagery and creative visualization processes and all of those cool things that were just being developed. And one day, while I was working with a client of mine, he commented to me, he said, "You know, Michael, this is hypnosis." And it was really kind of a surprise to me, because I had always thought that hypnosis was about, waving watches and barking like a dog, and doing all those kind of crazy things that everybody's heard about. And I never really had taken it seriously before, but it so intrigued me that it set me off on a journey that's continued ever since then. I literally, at that time, moved all the way across the country to Texas, where I took a 30-hour hypnosis training program, like 3 hours a week for 10 weeks. And at the end of it, I was really kind of good at inductions. By the way, the reason I went to Texas even is I didn't know that you could learn this thing, in a number of different places. I thought there's some person teaching a class somewhere, and that's got to be the only game in town. So, so I pursued that, and the lady that was teaching that course was enrolled in a very early NLP practitioner training. And in the training, in the hypnosis training, she started telling us a little bit about NLP. She turned me onto a couple of books. Some of your listeners might remember a book called Frogs into Princes, which is one of the earliest sort of popular books about NLP. And it so intrigued me that I had to get more of it. And that book had been written and edited, or had been edited rather, by Steve Andreas. And Steve and Connie Ray Andreas were running a training center in neurolinguistic programming in Colorado. So I moved to Colorado to study NLP with the Andreases. And Bandler and Grinder were associated with them, the creators of NLP, and came out from time to time as well. And that got me started, and started giving me some tools that were really useful. But the hypnosis training that I had gotten was really sort of missing. And so through the NLP community, I got introduced to Stephen Gilligan, who's become my mentor, my hypnosis trainer, and studied more and more of NLP. I left Colorado to spend a month with Robert Dilts in a residential program when they were working on beliefs and their applications to health in the early days of NLP. And after that, I did logistics for John Grinder for a while in the NLP community, and more studying through the years with Stephen Gilligan. And in fact, you mentioned my association with Salad. I've actually been coming out there since 2007 now. So a number of years, and I couldn't be happier than to be working with you guys. And so I'm excited about this next journey. and where Salad is going from here.
You
So
said
that's pretty much the story, Paul.
that's what I know. You say about the journey, and for me, I'm very excited about having you coming over. Certainly, looking at the core transformation program that we're going to be doing. And for me, though, there's one question that I'm sure I've been thinking about is how does it differ to the unique NLP processes?
Well, NLP is a thing that in the beginning, and it certainly isn't true as it develops, by the way, so I don't want to misrepresent it, but in the beginning, if NLP were to be classified in schools of psychology, it probably would have been thought about as behaviorism. That is, it really was helping people to develop new behaviors and new ways of acting in situations that were difficult for them or stressful for them or challenging for them. And so many of the things that we do traditionally in NLP are helping people find new ways to be, new things to do in situations that have been problematic. And the thing about core transformation is it's qualitatively different in that it isn't really about what to do. And at the end of the day, although we may take into the core transformation processes things that are difficult or challenges for us, at the end of the day, it isn't really about coming up with some new ideas about what to do differently, some new behaviors, but more about where to come from. And there's kind of a couple ways to talk about it, if you'll bear with me for a second. I think the simplest description would be to say that core transformation helps you make contact with some of the deepest parts of yourself, your deepest values, your deepest longings, your deepest beliefs, and in fact, the intentions behind your intentions, if that makes any sense. It really kind of starts with the idea that is popular in NLP, and it really is fundamental to neurolinguistic programming, that there is a positive intention behind all behavior. But not only behind behavior, but behind all of our experiences, the things that happen to us, in life, the way that we experience them, actually is a force for positive in our world. I like to think of it as an evolutionary process because here's the deal. There was a time way back in ancient history when some creature in the dark lagoon slithered up on the banks, pulled himself up out of the water, and now, of course, because he had the need to breathe, he discovered that it was time to grow a pair of lungs, of course. And so, and so he could breathe. He adapted to the situation that was presented to him, and that's what nature does. Evolution is something that comes to us through the challenge of nature, and so in this process, what I like to think of is that core transformation really sort of utilizes that idea about how nature works, how evolution works. That is, on those days in your experience, in your life, when things aren't business as usual, maybe one way to say it, or when you find yourself challenged and stuff, you're actually being given an opportunity to grow and to change. We're really called upon by the situations that we're in to rise to the occasion and to evolve, to make some adjustments. And this process can really kind of take advantage of that fact that life throws us off from time to time, and it can kind of point us in the direction of just where it is that we need to look, just where it is that we need to work. And the cool thing about it is that so much of NLP and so much of the change work that we do seems to be centered around problems. But the funny thing is, it doesn't really need to even be problems with core transformation. It can also be just the really good stuff, the genuinely powerful, wonderful things in our life as well, can be used through this process to take us to a place of further growth and further evolution. If you think about it, the way that we discover what's important to us is in one of two places. It's either in those situations that challenge us and that are problematic to us, so we learn something about our values, we learn something about our needs from those situations, or it's those things that really give us the greatest delights and pleasures, and in those situations as well, we really get to learn something about what really is at the center of our being. So I know that's kind of a fluffy description, and and it might be difficult to get more specific than that, but but let's see where the conversation goes, Paul.
So now I'm going to put you on the spot, purely and simply. All the people that have already signed up for it, and many more that are probably going to be looking at this, what can they expect to get from the core transformation course? But more importantly, how will they exceed their expectations?
Well, okay. Well, first of all, let me give you a couple of examples because I've done some trainings with people who didn't quite. Some folks come in here really heavy, with some ideas that are major issues in their life, and they really want to transform them. And every once in a while, we get some strange things happening, like living in Florida as I do. It's not surprising once in a while that I'll do a seminar, and at that seminar, not only will people come that are interested in growth, but sometimes they bring their spouses, particularly because it's an opportunity to come to Florida, and maybe. In a particular a couple, for example, maybe the husband is interested in golf. A great reason to be in Florida, right? We do a lot of that here. So interested in golf, and so I had these guys in a workshop, like 3 of them, that really didn't want to be there. They were there kind of because their wives made them come, and they were listening to what we were talking about. They thought that it was interesting. They found it useful. But then, during an exercise, they were sort of paired up in a group together, and they started talking to each other about it. And one of them, called me over and said, "Hey, wait, can I use this on my golf game as well?" And and my first response was, I don't really see why not. And so in fact they did. And one guy really sort of focused on the sort of tension that he has right before he hits the ball. Another guy focused on his drive and certain things like that. And from later reports, I'm understanding that they got some really good results on the golf course, which is the reason they'd come to Florida in the first place. So there's things like that. There's a lot of stories. I could tell you about salespeople who really wanted to get better at the sales game, and they thought that what that meant was about learning how to be a little slicker and a little trickier in their sales tactics. And what they discovered instead was something different about the quality of the relationships that they had with their customers, that they were just naturally performing better, effortlessly performing better. And again, like I said, the other thing to remember is it's not just about problem solving. In fact, in one way of speaking, it isn't about problem solving at all. That just happens to be an interesting side effect that comes. It really is about making contact with your core and opening it up and giving it more and more expression in the world.
Lovely. Now, you know how much that we admire and we miss you not being over here. So, like on every salad course, we want to give that little bit extra. So I know we spoke about this, Michael, but what else can we get extra from this program when you're over? Okay.
Well, there's a couple pieces that I think are really important to consider. There's a piece called Parental Timeline Reimprinting. And parental timeline reimprinting is kind of a cap on core transformation. It's a powerhouse add-on that really sort of takes the change and infuses it throughout your entire life. It invites, if you will, a reorganization of your experience based on the new discoveries that have been made in the core transformation process. And it goes about it by using the same natural processes that reimprint us with those ideas and beliefs that we develop, when we're young and open to new ideas and beliefs. Really makes them a part of our being and experience. So that's just a cool thing. The other thing that's included that I really want to mention is a process called aligned perceptual position. And the reason that that's so important is that people participating in this program might want to come with some body in mind, some particular challenging relationship in mind that they'd like to transform, because this process will give them an opportunity to look at that particular relationship in a unique and new way, so that they can be able to effect some transformation there as well. So I can tell you, I can't begin to tell you how many experiences I've had in my own life, even about just using this process in challenges that I had difficulty with other folks in. So a great piece to take home and to change your world.
Michael, it's been absolutely wonderful speaking to you again, and I can't wait until November for you to come over and show us exactly what you have, and enlighten a lot of people's lives. So I look forward to seeing you then.
Great.
Yes, thank you, Michael. That's been really exciting, really interesting, really connected me back with the time that I spent with you in Florida for those 3 days. And really excited to be seeing those additional elements that you talked about there. We're actually doing 5 days, as people probably know from the dates that we published, the 3 additional days, and then the 2 additional pieces that you mentioned there. So it's going to be a blast, and we're really looking forward to welcoming you over. We do have another webinar, don't we, coming up in about a week's time, where we're going to take a few more questions and expand the agenda a little bit. Are you still fit for that?
Yes, looking forward to that.
Okay, great. Well, we'll be sharing those details out on our Salad Facebook page and through our email channel as well. So everybody who's registered and expressed some interest will be finding out about that, and also we'll be posting the details on our website and on Facebook. So thank you, Michael. Thank you for taking time out of your very busy day. I know that you've got a lot on, and thank you all for a lovely introduction.
Tim, before I go away, if there's one thing I can say just to sort of wrap this up, that I just a comment that I'd like to make is just to tell people that in my experience, I have spent years trying everything that you can think about in terms of growth and change work. Some people know I studied with Timothy Leary. I studied with Ram Dass. I spent some time in a monastery, and I did all this in a quest for finding that something that would help me resolve my issues. And then, thankfully, I found my way to hypnosis and NLP. And in that arena, I've studied and worked with the best in the field, and I'd have to say the core transformation is the most far-reaching approach to personal change and evolution that I know. So I'm really excited to bring it over there to you, and looking forward to this.
That's fantastic, very interesting, and great to know. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Tim.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.